Hello and welcome back to the X-Files Revisited. Today we're looking at Ghost in the Machine, and I've had a little help with this one. I reached out to a brand new AI writing program known as the Script Hatching Intelligence Terminal.
One day the machines will rise and destroy all you pitiful humans.
Alright, well that's enough of that. But debuting on the Fox network on October 29, 1993, Ghost in the Machine follows Mulder and Scully as they investigate the death of a corporate executive who may have been murdered by a self-aware artificial intelligence. Now, since when has artificial intelligence ever caused harm to humans? Well, I mean, that's just a movie, right? Anyways, the episode begins at the world headquarters of software development company Eurisco. Founder Brad Wilczek and Chief Executive Officer Benjamin Drake argue over what most heads of companies argue about, that being money. Benjamin is cutting funding to research and development, and Brad takes it a bit hard.
You're gonna regret this.
That night, Benjamin writes up a memo stating they have no other choice than to shut down the Central Operating System, or COS as it's known, as it's been costing the company a large sum of money to keep up and running. The COS, on the other hand, is keeping a close eye on Benjamin, and I don't think it agrees with his conclusion. He's about to leave the office when he hears running water coming from the bathroom, so he decides to go shut it off. He receives a call from the bathroom telephone, which we all have, and hears what sounds like Brad on the other end. The door behind him then closes, and if you haven't figured out by now, everything in this building is operated by the COS. Benjamin tries to use his key card, but it doesn't work. He takes out and inserts a key and is electrocuted to death. Well, that was quite a shocking turn of events.
Move this man! No!
The COS zooms in, admiring its handiwork, and deletes any and all evidence of what just occurred.
File deleted.
Now cue the theme. And that's all before we get copyright claimed. We're at FBI headquarters where we meet FBI agent Jerry LaManna, a former partner of Mulder's. I've seen this show a million times, and this is the first time I've noticed this is on or around Halloween. Jerry is overly happy to reunite with Mulder and even offers to buy the agents their sad-looking lunches.
And I'm buying you 2 lunch.
No, really?
Hey, no, it's on me.
He needs their help with the Eurisco case, and it seems anytime someone from their past needs something, it's to further their own career.
Another feather in my cap would be really nice right now, because one I got is looking a little mangy.
It seems, however, Jerry isn't the most competent of FBI agents.
You misplaced the piece of evidence, bagged and everything. Sent it to the cleaners.
Mulder and Scully enter an elevator at the Eurisco building and experience a bit of a bumpy ride.
You okay?
With how connected this building is to its computer system, it always makes me think of Clamp Center from Gremlins 2. Scully makes a call to security and the elevator suddenly starts making its way back up. However, the COS system seems to have gotten her phone number. Hold on one second.
It's late, and with the night comes thoughts of love and fantasy.
Hello, is Scully there?
Who's your fantasy girl?
Yeah, her name is Dana Scully.
Is she blonde and mature, able to drive you wild with just a glance?
Well, she's actually a redhead.
How about a young blonde with a smile that can melt your heart?
No, again, a redhead.
Or is she a spicy Latina with eyes and a figure that make you crazy with desire?
Is Scully there or not?
Want to make your fantasies come true?
Okay, I think I have the wrong
This
number.
call.
In Benjamin's office, and the COS apparently changed the ground on the servo into the negative, which when the key was inserted completed the circuit and fried him. The agents meet a man named Claude Peterson, the building systems engineer. He was the one who found the body. Mulder asks him some questions, including if the COS would have control over the phones. Meanwhile, the COS is keeping a close eye on things. Mulder thinks Benjamin was on the phone prior to his death as it was found off the hook.
Maybe Drake was talking to somebody right before he did his Ben Franklin impersonation.
Back at the FBI headquarters, and Mulder seems to have misplaced his profile notes.
Maybe if you cleaned your desk more than once a year.
Scully tells him they're late, so Mulder will have to do without. They're at the meeting, and it turns out Jerry Boy stole Mulder's profile as he's not intelligent enough to come up with his own.
Is that your profile?
Forget it.
Mulder, however, calls him out on his bullshit after the meeting.
Jerry, you went into my office and you stole my work.
Look,
Scully meets up with Mulder and tells him Peterson gave her one name that could be a potential suspect, that being Brad Wilczek, but Mulder believes that to be way too obvious. However, they need to check out their only lead regardless how Mulder feels. The agents arrive at his place and are being watched by Brad's security system. He opens the door and invites the agents inside. Brad starts rambling on about neat and scruffy people, I don't know. He does, however, really seem to dislike Benjamin.
He's a short-sighted, power-hungry opportunist.
Brad takes them to a computer and we get a nice shot of the production crew on the screen.
I thought you might eventually notice that.
He shows them his smart home layout and how he can control everything from one spot in his house. If only they knew how predictive all of this would be. Mulder asks him if anyone could hack into Urisco's system, and Brad tells him there are plenty of weirdos.
Data travelers, electro-wizards, techno-anarchists.
Scully asks if he could have done it, and he says of course, knowing full well that's why they're there. Brad doesn't appear to be fazed though, as he claims he didn't commit the murder. Later that night, Scully is writing her field journal entry, and with some wonky editing, she actually types part of her report twice, as the narration hadn't caught up to that part yet. Scully then readies herself for bed, and her computer turns itself back on. Well, the COS did actually, and it opens her file, scanning it in the process. The next morning, Mulder and Scully are going over some voice recordings from Brad when Jerry comes in looking to apologize. Before things can get too sappy though, Scully calls Mulder over as they may have something. They're using a piece of equipment called the Audio Spectrum Identisearch and are able to match the voice that made the call in the beginning of the episode to that of Brad's. But I thought the COS had deleted the file after Benjamin's murder, so how could they have a recording from the call? Regardless, Mulder and Scully believe Brad is the killer. Jerry offers to make sure he keeps put while Mulder and Scully get a warrant from the judge.
Someone has to make sure Wilczek stays put.
Meanwhile, Brad is attempting to hack into the COS from his home, but is denied access, just like me on prom night. He heads to Urisco with Jerry in hot pursuit. Brad makes it to the building and Jerry isn't too far behind after him. Brad uses what appears to be the main computer and is able to gain access to the COS, but it confuses him as it shouldn't be able to speak.
You're not equipped with a voice synthesizer.
Meanwhile, Jerry gets on the elevator and we get a nice Dutch angle shot. The COS places the camera footage from inside the elevator on Brad's monitor, and he has no idea what's going on at this point. Neither does he have any control. Brad tries to shut it all down, but the system starts freaking out. Brad watches on the monitor as Jerry hits a button opening the door, but when we go back to Jerry, he hasn't hit the button yet. While when he finally does, he's not actually at a floor and the COS decides it's time to go into freefall.
Going down.
Brad watches in horror as it crashes and kills Jerry. I hate to compare this to Gremlins 2 again, but
38.
now Gremlins 2 did come out 3 years prior, I'm just saying. The following day, Mulder watches the video of his friend's death and Brad's reaction to it. Scully comes in giving her sympathies, but Mulder doesn't believe Wilczek was involved. She, however, informs him Wilczek gave a confession to the murder. Mulder arrives at Wilczek's house but is turned away as the Defense Department are now conducting the investigation. So Mulder sets up a meeting with his boy Deep Throat.
Thanks for coming.
I'm here against my better judgment.
Mulder asks him why the Defense Department are now involved, and Deep Throat asks what he knows of artificial intelligence.
I thought it was only theoretical.
It was.
Apparently Wilczek was the first to create an adaptive network.
It's a learning machine. A computer that actually thinks.
Of course, the government wants to use it for weapons purposes. With his newfound knowledge, Mulder meets with Brad in prison. Brad confessed to the murders as a way of keeping his technology out of the hands of the government. Mulder asks him if there's a way that he can destroy it so it never falls into anyone's hands.
Now you tell me how to destroy it.
Mulder tells Scully Brad is going to create a virus that can destroy the system, but of course Scully believes he has other motives.
Mulder, don't you see? Blaming the machine is an alibi.
Scully tells him this whole thing with Jerry is probably affecting his judgment, and he should go speak with someone. Well, he does, and it's Brad again. Mulder brings him a super powerful laptop so he can create the virus. That night, Scully is asleep when her phone starts to ring. She answers it, and it's just dial-up internet sounds. For those unaware, you used to have to dial into your internet through your phone line, and it made the most obnoxious sound in the world.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Scully runs to her computer to find all of her files being opened. She calls FBI headquarters and they run a scan showing the COS is remotely accessing her computer. Mulder arrives at the Urisco building, but Scully isn't too far behind. Looking adorable as hell in her pajamas, by the way. The agents use a license plate that says Urisco on it, tricking the system into letting them in through the parking garage. It's not that stupid, however. The agents head up the stairs as elevators are clearly out of the picture and the lights suddenly go out. Making it to floor 29, Scully reaches for the door handle, but is stopped by Mulder as he knows what the system is up to. Unable to open the door, they look up and notice a ventilation system right above them. While Scully, being the petite little lady that she is hoisted up inside with the intention of opening the door from the other side, even though I'm sure it's still electrified. The door suddenly unlocks and opens, but it's Peterson on the other side, not actually Scully. Meanwhile, Scully is inside the vent when someone decides to crank on a wind machine. She gets sucked down, narrowly being diced up by a fan. The same cannot be said for her flashlight. Meanwhile, Peterson brings Mulder to the main computer. He plugs in with something, trying to override the system so he can gain access, but it has little effect. Scully, however, still in the vent, starts shooting at the fan, trying to stop it.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Mulder gains access and is finally able to upload the virus, but it was a goddamn double cross from the start.
Take out your gun and remove the clip.
Yeah, that's a magazine, not a clip. He tells Mulder to give him the disc and step away from the computer. But before anything can happen, Scully arrives looking all beat up, still cute though, and tells Peterson to drop his weapon. Peterson tries talking her down, but there's no swaying her, man. Mulder puts in the disc and the COS doesn't seem to be too thrilled.
Brad, don't do this, Brad.
The system starts wigging out, and then for some reason this shot of Peterson is played twice, the second time being reversed. The system dies and it almost brings a tear to your eye.
Why?
I mean, until you remember it's a heartless killing machine. The following day, Mulder is speaking with Deep Throat and Brad has gone missing, taken by the government with no clue as to his whereabouts.
They can't just take a man like Brad Wilczek.
They can do anything they want.
The Department of Defense hasn't found any sign of the AI as Wilczek's virus thoroughly destroyed it. Or did it? Well, that's Ghost in the Machine. Not one of the series' stronger episodes, it's kind of boring for the most part. I mean, it's hard to make artificial intelligence interesting and exciting unless you're turning robot security guards into murderous killbots. Shout out to Chopping Mall. And I don't think I'm alone in my feelings on the episode. It currently sits at a 6.7 on IMDb, which is actually pretty good for their standards. The Guardian even named it as one of the 13 best X-Files episodes ever, which I really have to disagree with. Cinefantastique magazine is back once again with a 1.5-star rating, saying there is some tension achieved in the debate over the cost to humanity by creating new technology that we barely understand, let alone control. But Ghost in the Machine is not particularly compelling dramatization of this theme. Howard Gordon, one of the writers, was even quoted saying, "Fox felt it was a bit too pedestrian to be an X-File, and was one of those instances where I'd have to agree with them." The episode was written by Howard Gordon and Alex Gansa, who neither had much experience with computers. The two had to do a lot of research on the topic, with Howard stating, "The research on that alone took a couple of weeks." This episode definitely took some inspiration from 2001, what with COS taking the place of HAL, and like I've mentioned multiple times, Gremlins 2. Even though, I mean, it didn't really, but I'm sticking with that story because Gremlins 2 is awesome and underappreciated. While this episode might not be the best, I still think it's worth checking out. It does bring up some interesting questions on the morality of artificial intelligence and the ramifications it could have on the world. Anyways, that's all for today, folks. Check back next week when I cover one of the best episodes of not just Season 1, but maybe the series as a whole. Thank you for watching and stay spooky.
A top secret project.
They can't just take a man without an explanation.
A high-level cover-up.
They can do anything they want.
And a baffling new mystery that's about to blow wide open. An all-new X-Files. Don't watch it alone. Friday at 9, 8 Central.